Hey, Intro to PR. Welcome to your asynchronous class. Today we're going to be talking about corporate social responsibility. Closely linked to our crisis communication and even our nonprofit lecture, we're going to talk specifically about a specialty. Often, like many other aspects that we've talked about in our Intro to PR class, this can be interwoven into other types of public relations activities and endeavors, but I want to just hone in for a couple of slides, break down CSR, how it's applicable to public relations, how it may be a part of your everyday as a publicist, and give you some key terms and concepts. Let's go ahead and get started. So as you can see here, I've defined in a very broad macro sense what corporate social responsibility is, but the most important part that we're going to unpack is this idea of being responsible. So within relationships, if you recall, there's an expectation from diverse stakeholders for companies, organizations, and individuals to be ethical, to be transparent, to be thoughtful, and be considerate of the society in which they exist. If you think about your influencer, there's an expectation for them to be honest and trustworthy. If you think about companies, there is an expectation for them to be considerate of their communities and society and ideas such as inclusivity and gender equality. There's an expectation, arguably, for most stakeholders to want that from the entities around them. So now the big question is, how does a company illustrate that, and what's the role in the publicist of communicating that information to different publics? So, if there is an expectation for companies, products, and individuals to think about the ethics, to think about society, to think about their position in the marketplace, that can take various different forms. So, it can look like goodwill when it comes to philanthropy, it can look like reputation management when it comes to crisis. And so, whatever drives corporate social responsibility is going to be diverse and different. For you as a publicist, though, you have to decide, when do I employ certain CSR tactics? Is it because I represent an oil company and there's an oil spill, and so we have to do what we can to show that we're environmentally conscious? Or are you a publicist who is representing an individual and they get caught in a sex scandal? And so now they have to exercise this idea of what it means to be responsible when it comes to equality and appreciation of the sexes, and what might that look like? So oftentimes community engagement, some types of efforts are meant to repair or to just keep companies and individuals in goodwill. And arguably, they can all fall within the umbrella of corporate social responsibility. So right here we have one example of corporate social responsibility specifically from Coca-Cola. So you can see right here, even though you see the logo and it follows all of the visual aesthetics we've talked about, minimal text, focus on an imagery. You can see right here that it's green, so we're talking about the color that evokes more of a earthy groundedness tone. And you can see the whale tail sticking out, showing how Coca-Cola is thinking about the environment, is thinking about being environmental friendly, thinking about recycling. And so the idea here is to bring about goodwill, to really be careful about the opinions of stakeholders who want to see environmental and social justice be at the forefront of how a company acts. The idea is, before there's a crisis, before there's a scandal, let's show all of our different stakeholders that we care about them because they're buying our products and we understand the role we play in being in the community. Now, what this may look like in practice could be creating the visuals as you saw in the last slide. But as you can see right here, it could be putting together a social responsibility report that goes to your shareholders, to different audiences. It could be creating grants. Think Ronald McDonald House. It could be engaging in social media posts and different types of visuals that really highlight the efforts in community building. For example, at Target, different Target employees are specifically tailored to go out and give back to the community in different ways. If you have the Target app, every time you use a Target app, you get credits, and those credits can go to vote for different nonprofits that Target will then disperse money to. There are different ways, but the visuals, the programming, the narrative, the writing in which you put forth that material to different stakeholders falls in the laps of the publicist. Because remember, when a company engages in corporate social responsibility, Those tools are used to enrich relationships, to sustain relationships, to help position a company, an organization, or an individual as responsible, to increase goodwill, and if nothing else, to solidify thoughtfulness, as that relationship that exists when it comes to media, purchasing, etc., is always seen as being on the up and up or positive. So we talked about the different ways that corporate social responsibility can manifest. And we talked about the roles you as a publicist will take on. Again, creating visuals, putting together reports, putting together promotions that highlight these efforts. But it's all about relationship building. Arguably right now, and of course times change and this lecture typically changes when we think about temperament, most individuals, especially within your age group, have become what we call socially conscious. That means you're thinking about the world around you. You're thinking about wage inequality. You're thinking about the idea of access to education. You're considering the idea of what it means for genders and different sexualities to be fairly represented. And if you're an important stakeholder for a company or organization, you expect them to be responsible and respond to those queries that you have as a stakeholder. The current crisis that we're in right now is the idea of, as wages are going down and spending is going up, who's going to respond to the needs of society? An organization who is considering corporate social responsibility will put out messaging that draws attention to this, will initiate actions that shows that they care, and then have a publicist promote that to help continue the goodwill. Right now, there's a host of different issues that have constantly existed, but that may ebb and flow, that organizations and companies and individuals need to respond to. And stakeholders have the expectation that they will. How they respond and the ways in which they respond, the different types of communication channels, the engagement with different platforms, that's all you, the publicist. Let's look at a swath of different type of social and conscious issues that could cause attention to an organization and or a company, and how you might have to engage. So as you can see here, the issues when it comes to corporate social responsibility that we can in some way, shape, or form elevate and have thoughtful conversations, us being the publicists representing the companies and organizations and their continued communication with stakeholders, are numerous. And so this particular word cloud is not in any way, shape, or form all encompassing, nor is it highlighting a hierarchy. But these are ongoing concerns that different stakeholders have. And so if we take Bentley, for example, the issues that matter to our students, the issue that matters to our alumni, the issues that matter to faculty, the issues that matter to the community will all differ. So what responsibility does Bentley have? What actions will Bentley take? And how will its communication team clearly and effectively put that information out to quell any fears of different stakeholders and to solidify those ongoing relationships? It could be human rights. It could be, let's talk about right now, the war in Iran, or the rising gas prices, or just student loan debt. There's an expectation. There's an expectations for companies and organizations to be thoughtful in what's happening among their different stakeholders. That thoughtfulness and how it's communicated is us. My friends, that is corporate social responsibility. Understanding and being socially conscious of the real world around you, and then realizing that there must be an action and intentionality, and the publicist to communicate that to appropriate stakeholders. All right, everyone, that's all I got. So I gave you a couple of terms you want to hold on to, some examples of what CSR may look like from a publicist perspective, and the expectation from different stakeholders. Now, you have a 5-question quiz. You have 15 minutes to take it. It shouldn't take you more than a couple of minutes. You have your lecture to refer to. If you were taking notes, you can use those. It's open book, open notes. I'm not there. I can't tell you what to do, but make sure you get it done, because the quiz will close. It will close at the typical time that our class ends, no exceptions. And once you start the quiz, you have 15 minutes to get it done. Make sure you get that done, and then I will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.